At number 10, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts seems like a nice person, and I'm sure on her off days she's lovely, but on set she's been known to be kind of a handful and has caused some drama with the people that she's worked with. Though she's often cast as nice and endearing characters, there is much more to Julia than meets the eye. Apparently, according to her co-stars and past crew members, she's a nightmare to work with. A specific time when Julia was known to be especially nightmarish was when she starred in the 1991 Spielberg film Hook, a Peter Pan film. While working on the film, Julia earned the nickname Tinkerhell as a play on her character Tinkerbell, combined with the production's perception of the actress. Apparently, during filming, she would show up to set late all the time, she would lock herself in her trailer for hours on end, she would treat people badly, and she would never apologize for her actions or behavior. She caused quite a lot of drama with the people she worked with because she just wouldn't cooperate. At number 9, Mike Myers. Does anyone else remember the Cat in the Hat live action film from 2003 starring Mike Myers? I certainly do. It was pretty cringy, but in a good way since I was a little kid then, and I found everything to be unbelievably hilarious. I enjoyed that movie as a kid, but one person who didn't like it was the Cat in the Hat himself, Mike Myers. After the success of Austin Powers, Mike was set to bump up his comedy and star in a production based on one of his old characters. But before that was all carried out, the actor and the studio got into some debates and there were legal troubles. All of that was just some unnecessary drama. Well, they both ended up reaching an agreement and it obligated Mike to star in the Cat in the Hat movie. He never wanted to sign up for it, and he really made it known how badly he didn't want to be there. According to people who worked with him on set during the filming of The Cat in the Hat, Mike was very rude and dismissive and he refused to talk to anyone. He became a hermit and a diva apparently, and this whole experience and the subsequent film were all so bad that Dr. Seuss's widow said that she would never allow Hollywood to make another movie based on Seuss's books again. At number 8, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase is known for being in National Lampoon and the show Community, but is also known around Hollywood as being kind of a jerk and starting drama with the people that he works with. There are a bunch of articles, books, and interviews of people talking about their experiences with the actor and how mean he can be. There are even stories in the book Live from New York that detail the times that Chase has been mean to staff, writers, interns, and other hosts. Will Ferrell and Bill Murray are among those who have taken a dislike to Chase because of the way he's treated others. Will Ferrell has said that he doesn't like Chevy because of the way he treats some of the female staff members. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase even got into a brawl backstage with SNL back in the day where they said some pretty hurtful things to each other because they were kind of comedy rivals on the show. Chevy just doesn't get along with everyone, and he said that it's because fame went to his head, but something tells me that's not the only reason he starts drama.
In at number 7, Zooey Deschanel. Zooey Deschanel seems like a quirky sweetheart in her movies, but people in the industry think of her completely differently. Her castmates over the years have called her words like nasty, moody, and unhappy. So clearly not what most people are expecting. Apparently her worst behavior on set is from bad scheduling. Anyone in showbiz knows that filming pretty much always goes over time, but apparently Zooey would get really bratty when this happened. And instead of doing her best work to get things done sooner, she would just throw a fit, stop shooting, and sometimes even leave the set before things were finished. This behavior could be why she isn't in many projects anymore.
At number 6, Megan Fox. A director kind of counts like a co-star, right? I mean, they work together, so let's just go with it. Megan Fox has been in a few pretty successful films before being cast in the Transformers films, but after the success of this franchise, she was launched into fame. That is until things came crashing down after getting fired from her role and facing a lot of backlash because of it. When she was fired from Transformers, Michael Bay said that the decision came after she was a quote, nightmare to work with. What really happened is Megan made a comment about Michael Bay's behavior on set, commenting on how strict he was. On top of everything, when fellow director Steven Spielberg caught wind of these comments, he advised Bay to fire her, and that is exactly what happened. This drama caused Megan to lose her job and also gain a reputation of being hard to work with, which followed her for many years, so this drama really affected her a lot. Her career is slowly coming back to where it was before this drama went down. At number 5, Emma Roberts. Emma Roberts has had quite a few feuds with co-stars. She's had drama with Gabourey Sidibe, Ariana Grande, and Evan Peters, but the biggest feud that she's had was with Lea Michele on the set of Scream Queens. According to sources, Emma Roberts and Lea Michele had one strong attribute in common, and that was the fact that they were both divas, and so while they were working together, they butt heads with each other quite often. Apparently, their fighting got so bad while working that during filming, actress Jamie Lee Curtis had to step in and mediate the hostile situation between Emma and Lea because she was just so fed up with their constant bickering while they were trying to work. It was also reported that the actresses would constantly have mean girl moments, making making rude and catty comments towards each other almost daily. Rumors of this feuding between them were pretty common in entertainment news while Scream Queens was still in production, showing that things never really died down between the two actresses. It seemed like Emma just caused a heck of a lot of drama with a lot of people on set. At number 4, Lea Michele. Lea Michele was exposed last year for her Hollywood mean streak and for her terrible on-set behavior, as well as the drama that she caused with people on set. This all came out following a tweet from former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, where she let the world know how horrible it was to work with Lea. The actress is now described as, quote, callous, rude, mean, and even a diva. But following Samantha's exposure of the Broadway star, other people have come forward with their own testimonies regarding Lea and her mean streak. There have been stories of Lea's microaggressions, but also stories of her spitting in craft service food that she doesn't like, refusing to work with people because they don't know her middle name, requesting reshoots because she didn't like her costume, disrespecting other castmates and having crew members apologize on her behalf, and so many other frustrating tidbits that really just showed how rude and entitled she's been known to be. It was never a dull moment on set, but not in a good way.
In at number 3, Terry Hatcher. This one breaks my heart because I'm a huge fan of Desperate Housewives, but apparently on set she was the mean girl, and all the leading ladies got along except for Hatcher. During the filming of Desperate Housewives, she was known for being an issue on set. One of the co-stars told the creator of Desperate Housewives that she was the meanest woman in the world. She was not only a pain on the show, but practically all of her projects, and she now has a reputation for a bad attitude. Back when she was filming Tomorrow Never Dies, co-star Pierce Brosnan called her out for never being on time. I guess Terry really must have been a phenomenal actress to have played the lovable Susan Myers so well. Let me know below if you like Desperate Housewives. That is one of my all-time favorite shows.
At number 2, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf has really been going through it in Hollywood. He kind of has a bad reputation now because of the conflicts he's been in, the latest of which got him fired from a movie. Because of his bad attitude and clashes on set, the actor was fired by Olivia Wilde from the upcoming film Don't Worry Darling. It was announced in late fall last year that Harry Styles would be replacing Shia in the film, and now we know that it was due to Shia's alleged bad behavior, as people have cited that Shia is, quote, not an easy guy to work with. It was alleged that there was some kind of conflict between him and Olivia Wilde as well, and so because of that and the fact that other cast and crew members didn't like working with him, Shia was let go. Getting fired is always a negative, but in Hollywood, when your work involves relationships with others and having connections, having a bad experience that was enough to get you fired can ultimately burn that bridge and result in you having less and less connections in the industry, therefore having less and less opportunities to find work. Bottom line, starting drama at work is not good. And finally, at number 1, Jessica Alba. I have to say that I really liked Jessica Alba in the Fantastic Four movies, but she, on the other hand, did not. When she was cast in the first Fantastic Four movie, she was put under a 3-film contract, so when the first film did well and the sequel was announced, it wasn't much of a surprise, but when the film did come around, it was such a bust, and Jessica hated the movie so much that she almost considered quitting acting for good. Luckily for her, since the sequel did so bad, they never made a 3rd movie, but she did grow to hate the character Sue Storm because of how bad the films ended up being. Maybe it's just the curse of the Fantastic Four, because even the reboot they did a couple years ago did even worse than the original, so honestly, I don't know. At number 10, Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum is one of Hollywood's many heartthrobs. Any role that requires an attractive muscle man, Channing Tatum could fill, however he might not always be happy about doing that. Though he found a lot of success in other movies like 21 Jump Street and Magic Mike, when it came to the G.I. Joe movie back in 2009, the actor wasn't too thrilled about his part in the film. While doing an interview with Howard Stern, Channing spoke out about his feelings towards the movie and his part in it, where he told the audience that he didn't want the part in the movie in the first place. Going into more detail, the actor said that he was, quote, pushed into doing that movie, end quote. Channing also said that he was forced to take the part because he had to fulfill a contract that he had with Paramount Pictures. The actor also told the audience that though he liked G.I. Joe growing up, when it came to the film, the, quote, script was subpar, and he was unsure if he wanted to actually be Joe, end quote. The film ended up being pretty subpar as the script suggested, and it got pretty mediocre ratings. This ended up saddling Channing with an underperforming movie, and that's never good for someone's career. At number 9, Bill Murray. Bill Murray already has a bad reputation in Hollywood for his poor on-set behavior, so it's no surprise to me to find out that he's had some serious drama with one of his castmates on the set of Charlie's Angels. While filming the movie, Bill Murray was said to have antagonized actress Lucy Liu. When watching the film, you would think that they were all good friends and on good terms, but in reality it was quite the opposite. The film set was sort of a hostile work environment that caused Bill to take on a disliking towards Lucy. Turns out Bill would insult Lucy's talent and acting ability, and on one occasion even said, quote, I get get why you're here, you got talent, but what in the hell are you doing here? You can't act. Apparently, the harassment and bullying got so bad at one point that Lucy tried throwing punches at Bill during a scene because his insults got so bad. This antagonizing went on for the entire duration of production, and Bill kept on berating Lucy about her presence on set and calling her unprofessional as well. This drama was so unnecessary. At number 8, Jennifer Garner. After the success of the 2003 film Daredevil based on the Marvel comic, the studio decided, hey, this made us a lot of money, how about a spin-off? And so they did it. The spin-off film was based on Jennifer Garner's character from Daredevil named Elektra. It was looking like it would be very successful based on the success of the Daredevil movie, but sometimes things just don't always work out the way you would expect it, and the Elektra film tanked at the box office and received a lot of negative reviews as well. Later on in interviews, Jennifer went on to say how even she hated the film. Later she explained that the only reason why she agreed to the film was because Daredevil was in her contract, but she wished that she was never part of the movie because of how bad it was. At number 7, Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is one of Hollywood's most famous actors, but he also is someone who experienced getting fired because of on-set drama, and it first happened very early on in his career. Back in the 90s, Ryan was part of the Mickey Mouse Club alongside stars like Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and Britney Spears, but after some on-set drama, Ryan got fired from Disney. Ryan didn't stick around too long on the show because in an interview from 2008, Ryan opened up about his 2 years on the Disney Channel where he revealed that things didn't work out well between him and the studio. The La La Land actor revealed that producers from the Disney Channel show thought that Ryan had a bit of an attitude problem and was seen as a bad influence on the other kids. The actor also went on to say that he was apparently considered to be such a menace to the other kids that the mothers of his co-stars went to the executives to complain about his behavior. The studio eventually decided that Ryan wasn't Disney material because of his behavior, and he was soon let go. At number 6, Keanu Reeves. Actor Keanu Reeves found a lot of success after starting in The Matrix, and with that came a lot of drama. Coming out of the success of The Matrix, Keanu got blindsided by his friend Joe Charbonnet. Charbonnet allegedly forged Keanu's signature and forced the actor into starring in the serial killer film The Watcher. Because Keanu was unable to prove that Charbonnet actually forged his signature, and in the interest of avoiding a costly legal battle, Keanu went on to star in the movie, but he stayed super salty about it. When it came time for the movie's release, the actor did nothing to promote the movie. On top of that, he was contractually obligated to refrain from talking about how he got involved in the movie in the first place. However, that saltiness did build up, so when that contract expired, the actor was able to talk about the movie, and he didn't hold back on spilling the tea on how things went down. He did not hold a single detail back. At number 5, Emily Blunt. Actress Emily Blunt first got her rise to fame after starring in the film The Devil Wears Prada. After the success of that film, she was receiving offers from everywhere, including Marvel Studios, who were at one point considering her to play the role of Black Widow in Iron Man 2. Well, obviously that never happened, and instead she went on to play a role that she didn't exactly want. Fox Studios, the makers of The Devil Wears Prada, wanted Emily to appear in the new remake of Gulliver's Travels. Unfortunately, Emily had no choice but to say yes because there was a little fine print in her contract when she signed on to be in The Devil Wears Prada that indicated that she had to star in one more film with the network, and the network chose Gulliver's Travels. The film ended up being a total failure, but luckily it didn't hurt the actress's career.
In at number 4, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf is a child star that I've been watching ever since I was a preteen, and even though he was known for being goofy and lovable in his child stardom days, in real life he's completely different. Shia is known for being pretty intense in real life, and his violent attitude has caused him to get in trouble with the law on multiple occasions. Shia is also a thief and was accused of plagiarizing an entire screenplay. Basically, he copied the entire screenplay of Daniel Clowes and just changed the name, hoping nobody would notice. But thankfully, people did notice. More recently, Shia is also being sued by his ex-partner, FKA Twigs, for harmful and toxic behavior. After FKA Twigs came forward, other women, including Sia, backed up the claims.
At number 3, Natalie Portman. I might get roasted for this one, but the second Thor movie, Thor: The Dark World, wasn't really all that great. Another person who really wasn't a fan of the movie was one of the film's stars, Natalie Portman, who played the love interest Jane Foster. When she signed on to the first Thor film, she brought a lot of clout to the film since she was already a pretty big name in Hollywood, and at the time the MCU needed that since they were just starting out. But it seems as though the studio got a little greedy with Natalie because even though she didn't really want to be in the Thor sequel, she was essentially bribed with a promise that the specific director would come on to direct the film. Well, when that director eventually backed out, Natalie was still contractually obligated to stay, and so they were able to rope her in for one last movie. The actress lost out on the one thing that made filming worth her while, and she still had to stay on set even though she didn't want to. After that, Natalie swore off making another film as she said, quote, "As far as I know, I'm done. I don't know if maybe one day they'll ask for an Avengers 7 or whatever, I have no idea, but as far as I know, I'm done." End quote. Funnily enough, Natalie is set to appear in the next Thor film, Thor Love and Thunder, so we'll just have to wait and see how she feels about this experience. At number 2, Daniel Craig. I know actor Daniel Craig as the latest person to take up the role of James Bond, but apparently Daniel Craig wishes he never took up the role. The actor is very vocal about how much he hates playing James Bond, and when promoting the movie Skyfall in 2012, he really let his feelings about the role be known, as he said, quote, "I've been trying to get out of this from the moment I got into it, but they won't let me go, and I've agreed to a couple more." End quote. You would think that after some more time, he would have warmed up to the character, but no, not really. Back in 2015, during the release of the next Bond film, Spectre, Daniel got even more heated when talking about the role when he said, quote, "At this moment, no. I have a life, I've got to get on with it." End quote. He also went on to say that he would, quote, "rather break this glass and slash his wrist than to be in another Bond film." He must have been really mad when he had to take up the role yet again for No Time to Die, which comes out this fall. And finally, at number 1, Mike Myers. Having things not go your way can certainly cause you to have a bad attitude about things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take your feelings out on others. When Mike Myers was filming the 2003 live-action version of The Cat in the Hat, that is exactly what he did. Because he was so cheesed that he had to do this movie, he started drama with just about everyone he worked with. After the success of Austin Powers, Mike was set to star in some more comedy films, but before that was all carried out, the actor and the studio got into some debates and there was some legal trouble and it caused some drama. Both sides ended up reaching an agreement and it obligated Mike to star in the Cat in the Hat movie. He never wanted to sign up for that, and he really made it known how badly he did not want to be there, because according to people who worked with him on set during filming of The Cat in the Hat, Mike was very rude and dismissive, and he refused to talk to anyone. He became a hermit and a diva apparently, and this whole experience and the subsequent film were all so bad that Dr. Seuss's widow said that she would never allow Hollywood to make another movie based on Seuss's books again. He really wanted everyone to feel the same displeasure he was feeling about the film, but that certainly wasn't fair to the other people who worked so hard to bring it to life.
And at number 10, Jesse James. Actor Jesse James has somewhat of a reputation for being mean towards his partners in relationships. In 2010, it was revealed that while he was married to Sandra Bullock, he cheated on her with multiple partners. To make things worse, the cheating happened while the couple was trying to adopt a child. And of course, after a betrayal like that, Bullock divorced him in June of 2010. And after this, he decided to couple up with one of the women that he cheated with while married, Kat Von D. The two ended up getting engaged and were headed for marriage until it was exposed that he was cheating on her too. I guess Kat should have listened to that old saying, how you get him is how you lose him. Or once a cheater, always a cheater. Both good sayings. And at number 9, Gwyneth Paltrow. It should come as no surprise that Gwyneth Paltrow isn't very nice, because almost everything she does is surrounding being better than other people. Like her diet, which does not include coffee, alcohol, dairy, eggs, sugar, corn, shellfish, fish, wheat, meat, and soy. I literally don't know what else there is to eat other than just vegetables. She also touts insane diet and lifestyle rituals that are just completely out of reach for the average person. And she can be pretty rude at restaurants. While in London, she went to a Michelin star restaurant and insulted the chef by saying, quote, "I can't eat this crap. Let's just go to my suite and order room service." Also, there's this rumor that she stole the lead role in Shakespeare in Love from her ex-BFF, Winona Ryder, because she stole the script from their joint apartment. And if that's true, that is so shady. And at number 8, Edward Norton. Edward Norton has a reputation for being really rude, and honestly, I'm not too surprised. Apparently, his bad attitude on set is the reason why Marvel cut him as the Hulk in the Avengers. The president of Marvel Studios told Hitflix.com that Norton wasn't a team player, and that the studio was, quote, looking for an actor willing to work side by side with a star-studded cast. I guess that means he either got intimidated with the stars or pissed them off so much that they requested he be cut. In the interview, the Marvel exec made sure to confirm that money was not the issue here. Literally just his attitude.
At number 7, Edward Norton. Edward Norton was on the rise in Hollywood after he landed his breakout role in Primal Fear in 1996, which turned him into an Oscar-nominated star. This brought him a lot of new opportunities because everyone wanted him, but it also sort of turned him into a diva. With his role in Primal Fear, he was signed onto a 3-movie deal, but he never ended up following through on this. The studio ended up taking action against the actor and decided that in order to allow him to star in the 1999 film Fight Club, he had to to make one last film for Paramount after filming for Fight Club ended. It took him another couple years to get to filming another movie for Paramount, and that only happened because the studio forced Norton's hand. They offered him a role in The Italian Job, and at first he refused the role, but both parties lawyered up and threatened to take this matter to court, and Edward finally caved and took the role even though he didn't want to.
And at number 6, Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard seems pretty nice on screen, but he's committed a lot of horrible crimes in his past in real life. In 2001, he hit his first wife, Lori McComas, because apparently she was speaking to him too strongly. Then in 2005, he hit his second wife, Michelle Gent. But sadly, this was not his only incident with that wife. In 2010, Gent claimed that Howard threw her across a hotel room and also threatened to throw her over the railing. Apparently, his terrible behavior also shows up on set, and is the reason that he was cut from Iron Man. Apparently, he demanded more money from the franchise, but left when he couldn't get it. He blamed Robert Downey Jr. for years after, even though Downey Jr. had actually advocated for equal pay for everyone on the Avengers set. So it really didn't add up. Halfway at number 5, Lucille Ball. Legendary actor Lucille Ball was a lot meaner in real life than you probably expected from seeing her work on screen. Many of her characters were funny and down to earth, however, she was anything but. Allegedly, the moment camera stopped rolling, her light personality just disappeared, and she was completely rude to anyone on set who also wasn't a star. One of the worst instances of this is a story from when she was on an airplane. Allegedly, while the flight attendant was talking to her, the assistant replied, quote, "I'm sorry, Miss Ball doesn't speak to the help." Richard Burton also trashed her in his diaries, where he wrote, quote, "She's a monster of staggering charmlessness and monumental lack of humor. She's a tired old woman that lives entirely on that weekly show, which she's been doing and successfully doing for 19 years.
At number 4, Shia LaBeouf. Even though Shia LaBeouf was the go-to guy for the Transformers franchise, turns out he started to really hate it after doing too many films. When the actor first signed on to be in the first Transformers film, he was contracted into a 3-movie deal. But it turns out that after the second one, he was completely over this story and wasn't afraid to speak out about it either, even calling out the film's director, Michael Bay. When speaking out about his feelings towards the Transformers films, Shia said, quote, "There was some really wild stunts in it, but the heart was gone. We got lost. Mike went in so big that it became too big. Unless you have those relationships, then the movie doesn't matter. Then it's just a bunch of robots fighting each other." End quote. The films were always a success, so even though Shia didn't want to be part of the franchise anymore, the fans still loved him and the movies that he made. At number 3, Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis has been really successful in his career, but it seems as though he's not all that great to be around on set. Though his films are often very well made, it all comes at a price that those who've worked alongside him have had to pay. Apparently, Bruce is a nightmare to work with, as he's gotten into a number of conflicts with others on set, and they really just hate working with him. In the time before Die Hard launched his film career, Bruce found most of his success after working on the show Moonlighting alongside his co-star Sybil Shepherd. In 2005, Shepherd dished about her time working with Bruce, where she told sources that there came a point where her relationship with Bruce became volatile and they clashed a lot on set. There was reportedly constant bickering between the two of them, and it was just a toxic environment. But Sybil isn't the only one to say that they've clashed with Bruce while working together. Filmmaker Kevin Smith has also had troubles working with the actor while filming the 2010 film Cop Out. He told sources that though Bruce was his hero in past productions, that opinion went out the window, saying that working with Bruce was almost unbearable. When talking about their time together on set, Kevin said, quote, "He turned out to be the unhappiest, most bitter, meanest, emo B-word I've ever met at any job I've held down, and mind you, I worked at Domino's Pizza. What an awful experience." End quote.
And at number 2, Bruce Willis. A lot of people probably don't expect Bruce Willis to be a nice guy, but they also don't expect him to be as mean as he actually is. A lot of his fellow actors have refused to work with him, although not many of them will expose why. Kevin Smith was one of the few that did, and claimed that working with Willis was a, quote, soul-crushing experience. Then adding, quote, "It was difficult. I've never been involved in a situation like that where one component is not in the box at all." And I think we can interpret that to mean that he's not a team player and plays by his own rules when working. One example of this is he apparently refused to pose for promotional photos for one of his movies, leaving the crew scrambling to find a replacement. And finally, at number 1, Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz is so unapproachable to fans that she was actually ranked one of the worst people ever to ask for an autograph or picture. Apparently, instead of just saying no like anybody else, she lectures fans on why asking for autographs is stupid and an invasion of privacy. People also dislike her because of this strange story from a Drew Barrymore party. Apparently at the party, Diaz spent the whole time outside smoking, but she didn't share any cigarettes when people asked, and didn't really talk to anyone else at the party. And obviously not sharing a cigarette isn't the worst thing ever, but it definitely isn't friendly. So that's all for the list. Let me know your thoughts below. But before I go, I'm gonna shout out celebrity exes that got back together. Pebbles Ramirez says, yeah, breakup, no makeup. Best part, I have strong and sincere friendships with a few of my exes. I'm 54, so yeah, I have the maturity to do that, and I'm grateful for it. I love that. I always like to remain, or try to remain friendly with my exes, but it never works out. I feel like they're scared of me or something, or don't want to talk to me after the breakups. I don't really know, but I unfortunately never really remained friends with them, which is I don't like. Then Audra Lynn said, if it's over, especially if you dated someone in between, no thanks. Oh yeah, if we break up and then you date someone else, even if I was thinking of getting back with you, it is over. There's no way that is happening. Then Amanda Red said, Mark Consuelos is foxy AF. I loved Haley and Mateo on AMC, and the chemistry was legit. I love him so much. It's crazy in Riverdale how he plays such a mean and nasty character when, I mean, I at least hope he's not like that in real life. He seems so sweet. I love him.